My 7 childhood treasures are the framework for these talks every Tuesday. And the first treasure is the treasure of trust, which we mine, if you've read my book, you know, in the first 6 months of life. So first, just think about that for a second. You set your capacity, your foundational capacity for trusting other people when you were a newborn infant, 6 months of age or less. That's pretty remarkable. And trust, therefore, because that's the age at which we are developmentally programmed to develop our trust has to be about needs, because that's pretty much all we are from birth to 6 months of age is a bundle of needs. We are one of the most dependent species on the planet. We are dependent on the adults in our troop longer than most infants are in other species. And so it's really in those early months all about having people in our environment who can meet our needs. And so think for a moment about your needs, if you would, because this is still the way you trust people. It was the way when you were an infant, and it's the way now. And when you were an infant, most of your needs were physical. They were for things like being fed and being comforted when you were afraid, having your diaper changed so that you wouldn't have cold, clammy fabric up against your skin. It's about being taken care of physically. It's about safety. It's about being wrapped up when you're cold and held close when you're feeling insecure. So your physical needs are still important as an adult, and you might have physical needs you can think about and identify right now. Do you like being hugged by people when it's just to show you that they love you and it's not a prelude to sexual activity? Do you like holding hands with people? Do you like sitting close to somebody and kind of just snuggling under a blanket while you watch television? What are the physical needs that other people meet in your life? You still have those. And then what are your emotional needs? Now as adults, most of our needs from other people that we have met by other people are emotional, social, or ego needs. And don't feel bad about having an ego and having it have needs. Everybody's got one. Everybody has ego needs. I mean, it's things like, that's where my self-worth lives. That's where my identity lives. And so, well, I know my personal identity is that I am a being of light. I am a beloved child of God. I am starlight and stardust inside this little skin suit. And so my self-worth is pretty high, as you might imagine. Hi, Renee. Welcome. And so my need for my own self-worth, for my own sense of identity, my need for a feeling of significance is pretty well met by my faith. And I also love having that need met by my connection to other people. I like it when people identify with me and with my identity, who see me and say, I see you too as a being of light. I know too that you are, as am I, a beloved child of God. I don't think I'm any better than anybody else because I think all the rest of you are, as I am, that being of light wearing a skin suit. So those are some of my more ego needs, but I also have emotional needs that I get met from other people, and I'm sure you do too. I like to feel loved. And that feeling of love comes to me in a variety of different ways. When people, hug me, when people look at me and speak to me about how they feel about me, when people sit with me when I am in need of just quiet support, when I'm in grief, when I am feeling overwhelmed, as I am sometimes, even though I know I'm a being of light in a skin suit. That kind of love and support, that kind of positive regard when someone sees me and lights up, smiles and says, oh, hello. I need positive regard. I don't know about you, but I'm not ashamed to admit that I really like seeing that people are glad to see me. And then I have social needs. I need to belong. All of us do. It's one of the fundamental needs identified by psychologists who study the needs of adults in relationship, is that we all need that sense of belonging to someone, that sense of being in a relationship. And in fact, we need more than just one-on-one relationships. We need that sense of being a part of a community. I think sometimes the need for community comes from my awareness of how very little I can do for myself, you know? I personally cannot raise my own food. That's not a skill set or a talent set that I have, or even an interest. I kind of hate getting my nails dirty, so gardening is not really fun for me. But lots of people love to raise food, and I love to eat good food that people raise. And so in community, I can get the food that I like to eat and that feeds me and nourishes me, even though I don't have the capacity to grow it myself. I need people to know how to fix my car because I don't know how to do that. And now my camper, my RV. And so a community brings all of those skill sets into one place, and so that everyone can benefit from having skills available to them and using them even though they don't have them themselves. So those are some of our social needs: community, relationship, belonging. But also, I have a social need for power. I need to feel effective. So don't think of power over someone. Think of power with people, power together. My expression of power in relationship is what allows me to use the tools I have and share the gifts that I have. So think over this next week and notice about what your needs are: your social needs, your emotional needs, your ego needs, your physical needs, in relationship with other people, with your partner, your spouse, with your friends, with your coworkers, with the people you share spiritual community with. What are the things that you need from those people, and how do you know you've gotten those needs met? Who meets those needs? In the circle of people that fill your life, who are the people you can count on to always be glad to see you, to always light up with that positive regard? And who are the people that you've already learned cannot meet that need? Who are the people who glower and grimace and go through life with a frown, and even when they look up to see you, it's with a, oh, it's you. There's no excitement, no thrill of the moment of re-meeting you. You know who those people are. So notice who meets the needs that you notice you have, and start being aware of how trust is currently operating in your life. A lot of us think that we don't trust people, when in fact we do. We trust them to be exactly who they are. We trust that they can meet one specific need for us, but maybe not a host of others. Maybe on your list of 25 important needs that are met by the people in your life, you know someone who only meets one or two of those and really never meets the rest. And so my question for myself in my life becomes, how much do I trust someone for XYZ? Not how much do I trust someone. How much do I trust that this one person will always be there for me in the middle of the night when I call in tears? Is that person's capacity to meet that need of enough benefit to me that I keep them in my life even though they don't meet hundreds of other needs that I have? That's how we notice how we trust as adults, and that's how we notice where there are opportunities to grow our